It is a great pleasure to inaugurate the 2020 International Union of Marine Insurance Conference, and I want to say a warm welcome to every one of you. It is the fourth time this conference is returning to our beautiful Swedish capital, Stockholm. But it is the very first time it's held online because of the coronavirus. Participants, we are facing great challenges: growing inequality, climate change, staggering economies and a global pandemic. We certainly have a great task in front of us. We must now mobilize for a better society and a kickstart of our economy when this crisis is over. And the crisis we now are meeting can in fact be a threshold of new transformation to the sustainable society. Ices are melting and the sea levels are rising. Forests are burning and agricultural land are becoming unworkable. Already today, people seek refuge because of climate change. Within 30 years, more than 250 million people can be forced to leave their homes. To combat climate change is therefore not just a moral responsibility for us towards the coming generations. It is also about the will to take responsibility and action. Not just to say, I voted, now it's up to the politicians to do their share. I think this is of great importance, because we need to work together in all spheres of society and in our daily lives to take action. This is not merely a challenge for politics, it is indeed a matter of survival. To take responsibility and action is also about leadership. In Sweden, we like to boost ourselves on this topic. We have set the target to become the world's first fossil-free welfare nation, and we want to be a country that takes lead saying, this is possible. And it's not only possible, it will create new jobs. It will make the economic growth. And we can do this because we know that we have the best preconditions in the world. And we have a committed population. We have promoted policies to encourage sustainable transition since the 1990s, and the results are clear. The share of renewables in transport is among the highest in Europe. Emissions per GDP have fallen sharply, and in 2016, emissions intensity were 58% lower than 1990. And during the same period, GDP increases by 75% and emission decreased by 26%. So we export more green electricity now than ever. By 2030, greenhouse gas emissions in the transport sector is to be 70% lower than in 2010. And by 2040, 100% of the electricity production is to be renewable. The key to achieve this change is to show that it's possible. I usually use the term permanent world exhibition because it is something that triggers a lot of business and industries. Sweden will be a permanent world exhibition for the implementation of new environmental smart technology. And we will show that it is possible. We must show that the maritime, the aviation and the automotive industries can change, and that they can build smart solutions with increased mobility. If we together with business, industries and organizations can show that it is possible, this is something that not only provides conditions for exporting good ideas, but also solutions and technical products, but also creates opportunities for spreading good examples. With a touch of extra confidence, I have sometimes said that the transport ministers are the new climate ministers. It is not in competition with my fellow minister I say that, but it is because of the transport sector needs to change. And to do this, we need to act. We are now doing the largest investments in modern time, with 700 billion Swedish crowns into our national infrastructure plan and the greatest railway expansion since the railway system was introduced. The plan covers new constructions, restorations and modernization of existing infrastructure. And the decision also covers significant investments in maritime transport and, of course, in roads. The investments will contribute to building a stronger, more equal and sustainable society. This also means that we need to transfer transport of goods from road to railway and to shipping, of course. That is why we are now directing investments to develop the railway system and increase the capacity. These measures will be strengthening the robustness of the railway system and make it possible for the railway to meet the additional demand for transport to a greater extent. Both domestic, of course, but also cross-border transport. And it will mobilize, engage and modernize. It will also mean that we make large public investments in a situation when we need to kick-start our economy. That kind of message is exactly what Sweden and perhaps also the world needs right now. Conference participants, now we have the possibility to change the way we look at mobility, but also the way we are connecting to the transport system nationally and internationally with large investments. But that also means that we need to think about how to avoid reproducing the mistakes of previous generations when we electrify the transport system or find new smart solutions. We need to find a structure that is not based on men and cars. We need to integrate a gender equality perspective into the infrastructure planning. And of course, alongside with the climate perspective, we need to strengthen the safety of our transport system. And we need to use new digital technology, as of geofencing, in order to boost safety and at the same time use smart green solutions. This modernization is going to change the whole transport system. When it comes to shipping, we have multiplied the investments in order to transfer more goods with ships so that we can achieve the climate goals. But of course, there is more to do, and that is precisely the reason why we have doubled our research funding for shipping. In fact, in Sweden we now see the shipping industry itself taking bold steps. By investing in new ships driven by batteries, biofuel or even by sail, as well as making existing ones more efficient, the sector show its own way to fulfilling its commitment, making Sweden fossil-free 2045. And another Nordic example last year was the first trip to the e-ferry between Helsingborg in Sweden and Helsingør in Denmark. The former diesel-driven journey has been converted to a battery-driven one with significant reduced emissions as a result. Dear participants, now we have the possibility to be visionary and to act, to build both a stronger but also more sustainable society. And with investments and with green technology, we can tackle climate change and we can kickstart our economy when the crisis is over. And together with the European Green Deal, we can strengthen Europe's ability to compete and to bring more investments to our continent. But the responsibility to achieve all this, it rests with all of us. And I would like to end this speech by addressing directly to all of you participants of the conference. I expect your participation in this work. And I know that the insurance sector is very active and have a strong commitment, but I want to see more. I want to hear your proposals, I want to hear your voice, and I want to see your commitments to achieve this change in the society. I want to hear that you will take the responsibility to argue, to say that you did your share to combat climate change. And if we can do this together, if we can show that the change is possible, we will give both hope and faith in the future, and it may be needed in this world. Thank you very much.